You know, there are rules that govern this world. And I'm not talking about the ones written in some dusty law book. No, I'm talking about the ones etched right into human nature itself. Today, we learn how to use them.
Just let that sink in for a second. What if the deadliest trap you'll ever face isn't set by some shadowy enemy, but by you, by the words that leave your own mouth? The biggest threat might be the one you create yourself, and you won't even see it coming. And right there, that's where our lesson begins.
This man, he wasn't some dreamer talking about how the world should be. No, he saw it for what it is, a brutal, beautiful machine. He was an architect of empires, someone who truly understood the dark gears of human nature. His name was Chanakya, and his teachings, they aren't gentle suggestions. Think of them as a cold, hard rulebook for a game that doesn't play fair.
All right, let's get into it. The first rule, the most critical one. It's not about what you do. It's about what you don't say.
Now, this isn't about being shy or timid, not at all. This is about pure tactical advantage. Think about it. The second you say your plan out loud, you've just handed your opponents a weapon. You give them a chance to interfere, to plant seeds of doubt, to sabotage the whole thing before it even starts, right? A startup isn't going to broadcast its secret tech before launch day. A negotiator never, ever shows their bottom line. Real power, it moves in silence. It only shows its hand when the game is already won. Your words can literally be the blueprint for your own failure. So keep them locked up tight.
So that leads to a pretty important question, doesn't it? If you can't even trust your own words to be safe, who can you trust? Well, Chanakya's answer is unsettling. And it all starts with understanding the art of deception. What a powerful image, right? A pot of poison with a thin layer of milk on top. This shows a really dangerous truth. The deadliest threats, they almost always come disguised in the sweetest words. They give you support, they praise you, they seem so pure. That's the milk. But underneath all of that, there's poison, just waiting for the right moment. Look here, we're breaking down that whole illusion. On the one hand, you have the appearance, the sweet words, the offer of a helping hand. But then you have the reality, a hidden agenda, a betrayal just waiting to happen. It's that coworker who tells you how great your project is, but then goes to the boss behind your back and picks it apart. Heck, even a close friend, if they get angry enough, suddenly becomes the keeper of all your secrets, all your weaknesses. So you have to remember, trust is never just a gift. It is always a calculated risk. Okay, so if your words are a liability and even friendship is a risk, then what actually makes the world go round? What really governs how we all interact? This next rule, it might be the most brutal one, but it's also probably the most honest.
And that currency is self-interest. Chanakya saw it everywhere. Birds fly away from a tree once it has no more fruit. Guests leave your house after the meal is over. People stick around only as long as there's something in it for them. Now listen, this isn't about being cynical. It's about being pragmatic. It's the silent rule at every networking event, right? Connections are made based on mutual value. And when that value is gone, the connection usually fades. Once you get this, you can start to predict how people will act. You can finally see the whole chessboard. And in a world that runs on self-interest, well, suffering is just part of the deal. But Chanakya pointed out specific kinds of pains that are way worse than any physical burn. I'm talking about these 6 things. They are like internal fires that just burn your spirit away from the inside out. These are the real enemies you have to fight. And here's the kicker, you can't fight them alone. And that brings us straight to the 4th rule. In a world this complicated, your very survival depends on your alliances. Who you choose to stand with, well, that determines if you get to stand at all. So listen closely. To befriend these kinds of people, the immoral, the harmful, the just plain careless, is basically inviting your own destruction. The key takeaway here is that this isn't just some character flaw. It is a fatal strategic error. The immoral person, they will betray you. The harmful one, they'll target you. And the careless one, they'll ruin you completely by accident. With company like that, there is no winning. There's only ruin.
And, this principle goes even deeper. It applies to the people you're supposed to shape. Just think about this for a second. A parent who doesn't properly educate their child. A parent who fails to give them the tools and knowledge they need to survive out there.
That parent isn't a helper. They are an enemy. It's a harsh thing to say, I know. But by leaving that child unprepared and ignorant, you are literally serving them up to the world as a victim. You become the architect of their failure. It's the ultimate betrayal.
And this is the result. Without the right knowledge, when you're in the company of the wise, you stick out. You can't blend in, you can't navigate the situation, you definitely can't compete. You become an easy target, basically marked for failure by your own lack of preparation.
So how do you arm yourself? How do you make sure you're the swan and not the crane? Well, that brings us to the final rule. And this one is the most vital of all. It's the engine that makes all the other strategies work.
Think about it like this. 100 years lived with no purpose are worth less than a single focused day. Time itself isn't the real resource here. It's how you use that time. Every single morning when the sun comes up, you have a choice: stagnate or get stronger.
And look, this isn't some feel-good, self-help tip. This is a mandate, a rule for survival. It's about daily, relentless improvement. It doesn't have to be some huge thing. Can't study a whole chapter? Learn a paragraph. Can't learn a paragraph? Learn one word. The point is, you must grow every single day. That constant act of growing, that's what forges you into a weapon.
So, now these rules are yours. You've been given the blueprint. You understand the poison in the pot. You see the power of the armor of silence. You're looking at the world through a new lens now, seeing the hidden motives, the quiet threats, the paths to power. This knowledge isn't just out there anymore. It's inside you. And with that comes responsibility. Because knowing how to defend, knowing the rules of the game, that's one thing. But actually playing, that's something else entirely. The board is set. The pieces are already moving. And now, it's your turn. What's your first move going to be?
Mastery isn't a destination. It's a path. It's continuous. If you want to keep sharpening your mind with truths like these, then join us. Stick around. Together, we're going to keep learning to see the world not as we wish it was, but as it really truly is.